The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
I'm going to call the September 20th meeting to order, and we have a presentation from the Honourable Lori Carr, Minister of Social Services and MLA for Estevan. And just before you start, I just want to say we're getting lots of kudos about our walking paths in town, and I just want to pass that on because you're our partner for us, and I want to thank the provincial government for their role in that too. So just want to let you know that we appreciate it, and I'll let you carry on with your presentation. Thank you.
Sure, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't have much of a presentation. I like to extend this invitation a couple of times a year to have the opportunity to come and just have a conversation with council about what's going on in the area, and if you have any questions for me, so that's really what I'm here for tonight. Yeah, the walking paths really was a great project to be able to move forward with. It's one of those things that a city would really, really like to do, but it's a little expensive to do on your own. So when you have the opportunity to partner with different levels of government, it actually you're able to make it happen. So I'm glad, and they look really good. What's out there so far, it's really exciting. So nice to see that the work is going to be done this fall. So with that, I will truly just open it up to any questions that anybody might have for me.
I'll get our party started. Thank you, Tony, Minister Carr. Oh, thank you, Deputy Worship. Of course, I have a COVID question. Just kind of wanted to know if it's plausible that the flu and common cold are being lumped into COVID numbers through the PCR test.
Well, my answer to that would be I'm not a doctor, so I can't guess. I have confidence that they are accounting for the different variants accordingly, but that's the information that I have, so sorry.
Councillor Roba.
Thank you, Deputy Worship. Welcome, and Lori Carr. Basically, I always ask you about healthcare whenever you come, and so I'm going to stick to that theme. Healthcare is been stated with the government in the past that it's a priority. With the pandemic, a lot of people are feeling like it's not a priority. I know that getting doctors, recruiting doctors is not just a City of Estevan problem, even though as much as some people like to believe that, it's a province-wide, if not Canadian-wide issue. However, I was just wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about how the efforts are going about recruiting physicians for this area, and also psychiatrists, because again, it would be nice to finally be able to advertise or to announce that Estevan and area has their own psychiatrist that's actually working out of Estevan, or, you know, even out of Weyburn I'd take, because I know Weyburn has the facility there and does have. So it would just be nice to know that people who are seeking medical help can actually access one psychiatrist, or at least even if we had a pool of them, it would be nice to hear that people that are in a mental health crisis have the ability to continue with one psychiatrist, because from what I hear from people is they access mental health, and unless they're actually ready to kill themselves at that moment, they're not getting access to mental health. And so I just wonder if you could comment on that, if you know that that's actually improving at all in that kind of area of healthcare.
For sure. Absolutely, there is a gap in the services that we have because we don't have enough providers to provide everything we would like to provide. So we still are doing the SIPA program and all of that, but it's not near enough to keep up with the demand that we have, not just in the region here, but right across the province and actually right across the country. mental health and addictions, and I put them together because lots of times they kind of go hand in hand. We are really focusing on adding additional beds over the next couple, 3 years. I know you're fully aware we had the beds added last year. We added some additional ones this year, and that helps us in this region specifically, although they are for the entire province. And it's something that we're focusing on is the mental health and addictions piece for treatment, but you make the point that we don't have enough psychologists around, and we don't. We've had a really hard time recruiting in this area, and I don't know for what reason or why they don't want to stay here, but unfortunately doctors are businessmen of their own, and they get the opportunity to move wherever they want. So we will continue through our programs to try and get more down in this area. I guess one of the things that we've learned throughout COVID is there are other ways to serve your clients. So some of them have been getting served virtually. That's not always the best way to be serving them, though. That face-to-face contact is really important for them at times. So we want to ensure that we don't lose that. And we can't be done COVID soon enough for me. So we'll continue to try.
Councillor Frank.
Well, you got COVID and healthcare, so I'm going to hit you with the next big one just to make sure we hit all the hot topics right off the bat. I just wanted to kind of touch on, I was looking forward to you coming to ask this just, I know recently, a month ago or so, the province had a bit of an announcement just on their support for carbon sequestration and all that, which is fantastic news. Obviously, we love to hear that in Estevan. But I kind of wanted to just kind of pick your brain a little bit on where Estevan fits in and all that. I didn't get the chance to be there, but in any of the news reports and stuff like that, we didn't get a lot of mention of our current existing carbon capture plant, as well as obviously our hopes and that we will have more. So I just kind of wanted to get a little bit of update from you on that.
For sure. So the announcement was to be able to help companies, enable them to be part of a fund to access money, incentives to pick up on carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So enhanced oil recovery is really what we're talking about within that portfolio. Of course, they have to get the carbon from somewhere, and in the vicinity of this area, the closest things we have are our carbon capture plant that we have right now. And as you're fully aware, they are using all of the carbon that comes out of there right now, but they could always use more. So it still comes down to the investment, the capital investments. And I think the gentleman that was speaking that day, Mr. Fagerheim, said that this truly does need to be a provincial federal thing also, because the capital is very, very expensive. But with these incentives in place, it'll give private operators an opportunity to maybe be more innovative about the way they use CCUS and be able to take up on that.
Councillor Ford.
Thanks so much, and thanks for being here tonight. Just a quick question. Kudos to the provincial government for the extra $75,000 in funding for the Kids Help Phone over 3 years. If you could just tell me what that entails, where that $75,000 will go, or how it will be implemented into the Kids Help Phone, that would be great.
Sure. That's actually a program that it's really valuable for the youth that we have around. So the $75,000 truly will be putting into staffing and more telephone lines so that when those kids call in, there are more people available, and expanding the hours a little bit. So that'll help them out.
Just my next quick last question for that. With that program, and it's been years since I've even thought about the Kids Help Phone, even, to be honest with you, is there a program that now, is that textable now for kids? I mean, it's difficult for, kids to pick up the phone sometimes and say they need help, and I find that a lot of people just find it much easier to text or do something over the internet. Is that an option for that Kids Help Phone now, or is that going to be an option?
I don't know if it's an option, but I think it's a great idea, so I will take it forward and ask.
Thank you.
Councillor Walliser.
Thank you. My question is regarding the Chief Electoral Officer's discussion paper that discussed resolving the municipal provincial election timing problem. So, as you're aware, there was less than 9 days between the two elections last time, and it did create quite a bit of confusion in the constituents about whose responsibility lies where, which candidates are representing municipal and local. And we're just curious what point the provincial government is at with this.
Great question. So before, I guess all of the elections took place last fall, we were already in an extended mandate as a provincial government just because of the timing of the previous federal election. The dates got mixed up. So we were already at over 4.5 years. And of course, we always do it in October, and we had already changed the previous one. So we decided we were going to do it in October and keep that set election date that we already had set. So we'd actually gone to SUMA, and as an association asked if they would move their election date to an earlier and or a later time frame, or even extend it a year so that you had an extra year on your term. And they must have pooled the membership. I'm not sure if you guys recall that or not. And they said no, thank you. So we decided to just go ahead with the two of them in between. My guess is that between now and, because we have our set election date 4 years from now, just like now we're on the same cycle, both of us, the question will come up again at SUMA and see if there's something we can do to alter that. And who's going to give? I don't know.
I'm going to put my name on the list. I know the regional nursing home got money for the nursing home. Is that next step now there, or does it have to pass through the budget to get to the next step, or to start on the construction?
Sure, that's a really good question because everybody asks me about the nursing home. So right now it's planning dollars to get that plan in place. What's it going to look like? Where's it going to go? And I know that they have an initial planning meeting set up in October, provided everything moves ahead as it is. I believe it's going to be virtual, so it shouldn't get stopped, but you just never know. But so the planning happens, and then it's a go. But at different stages, what they'll do is they'll come back and they'll say, okay, these are the options that we're going to choose from. What are we going to go with? And then the tender process will happen where we ask for requests for proposals for people to actually bid on the job. Then that'll come back again, and then we'll pick from that. So it's not something that's going to happen really, really fast. It could take a couple, 3 years to go through the whole process and get it up and going, but that's how it works.
Thank you. Councillor Cernick.
Thank you, Worship. This one is about Perkins Street here in town. Currently, it's being used as the truck route, but I do believe just the past year it was recognized as not being a provincial highway. So, and obviously it's getting pounded out. It does make the most sense to send the trucks down that way instead of bringing them up to 4th Street. So I just wondering what would be our best way to go about tackling that and trying to get that involved in a provincial truck route? Or
yeah, I mean, the highway system is the highway system. It's already been set out, right? But I don't know if there's an opportunity through the Urban Connector Highway Program, if you decide you want to upgrade it so that it can handle heavier weight, that would probably be the best option. I'm pretty sure we're not adding any more actual highways, okay, unless we're building new communities somewhere that's not on a road yet, but yeah. So my best guess would be the Urban Connector Highway Program would be the program that you would be able to go through. And that's kind of a cost sharing between the municipality and the provincial government to upgrade roads that are used to connect highways, right?
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Verova.
Thank you, Deputy Worship. I was going to say, actually, now we're talking about roads, Highway 47 is always another one that's hot on the topic. And a lot of people had concerns even after it was started to get fixed. It seemed to make it almost bumpier because they throw large amounts of asphalt down and then, it heats up and it kind of gets a little bit smoother over time. But I just thought I'd throw Highway 47 out there. I know you were the Minister of Highways for a bit, right? So yeah. I'm sure that you're already aware of that, but just thought we'd put it out there on the forefront for you again.
So yeah, highway prioritization as we move forward, fixing our highways, right? Estevan has actually been pretty fortunate over the past few years with the paving projects that have happened within my constituency. So I've got 2 left, Highway 18 west of Estevan out to Outram, and Highway 47 north, I guess it's just about to Benson, are the 2 stretches that need some work yet, and it's something that I'm continually advocating for, although this is a provincial fund, unfortunately, and we have to look at roads right across the entire province. So I will definitely keep advocating for those two.
Thank you.
City Administrator.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Clark. The mayor just wanted to forward his comments that he thanks the government for taking charge and making a decision on vaccinations instead of leaving it up to municipalities and health boards. So he just wanted to forward that. I just want to mention to Councillor Cernick, we did apply under the UHCP to make Perkins that, but they refused that transition from 4th Street to Perkins, even though we've changed it as a truck route. And just to add to Councillor Frank's comments about clean coal, obviously natural gas has doubled in the last year, and I do see that UK is firing up some of their coal-fired power plants. So I'm just wondering if the government has had those discussions internally or had those with SaskPower as well about the increase in gas prices.
Yes, I do know that as we move forward, it's a holistic cost, right? So what is it going to cost to operate those plants once they actually get built? And fuel source is huge. So whether we build a gas plant or carbon capture or a small modular reactor, what is the cost of that going to be? And the fact that gas is going up in price substantially, and we can see other jurisdictions kind of flipping the switch back on, it's definitely a part of the conversation. And it also goes to that diversified fleet of power production that we have across the province. And this is, I mean, in Canada, I think we're the only 2 coal plants left running is here in Cornack. So for Saskatchewan, I think it's vital, and we will definitely continue to have those conversations. And as the price of gas goes up, it definitely comes into play.
Councillor Waleser.
Thank you. I am quite pleased to see some of the changes that the government has brought in regarding masking and vaccination status. What I am hearing now, though, is there are a lot of people that have lost faith in the government. They can see that the public health officials had a very clear request of conditions and that the government waited about 3 weeks to act on those recommendations. They also have listened to the press releases that on September 10th, the Premier indicated that he didn't believe in mandates, that the job was done by securing vaccines for people, and that it was up to them to make the decision. And now a week later, the government has implemented additional changes. My concern is that now that people maybe have lost faith, that they're also being emboldened to no longer adhere to those mandates. So there are businesses in Estevan that have already publicly stated that they will not be checking vaccination status before admitting people to their businesses. And I'm just curious how the government is going to try and bring everyone back, get everybody on board and finish out the pandemic.
Yeah, well, wouldn't we all like to know when the pandemic would be finished? But unfortunately, it's a moving target, and as we've always said, recommendations or changes will come in concert with a chief medical health officer, which is exactly what we're doing. And it was always been based on the number of hospitalizations, the number of people in ICU. So as those number rises is when you see changes happen, and clearly from the numbers you can see that we're actually there. As we move forward, I think the same as when we had the restrictions in place around gathering sizes and stuff, it was something that was a little bit fluid. As complaints come in, then things got addressed. But I think most people, most businesses will do the right thing. It is a very divisive thing, and some people choose to, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, it's still your choice. It's just unfortunately now some things you'll have to wait to do until all restrictions are lifted.
Councillor Verhoeven.
Thank you, Deputy Worship. So again, I was told that we've reached a spot in the province now, a point where they will be making the harsh decisions in healthcare, like we've seen on the TV, where it was in Italy and in New York, where they are starting to decide in triage who lives and who dies. Do you believe that we're at that point right now in the healthcare system in Saskatchewan, that they will start making those harsh decisions?
Well, from the information that I've seen, I don't think we're there yet. I think that there's enough room in the system to be able to hopefully handle some of the influx that is coming in. We have just started this week, starting to slow down the rest of the healthcare system, so all of the elective procedures and all of that kind of stuff. And what that will do is it'll actually make room in the system if we get more of those COVID patients coming in. So no, we're not there yet in Saskatchewan.
Okay, because some people were wondering why were the field hospitals taken down, and could they be resurrected again if needed, if we reach that point?
We still have all of that equipment. We have everything. Obviously, the places, the locations that we had the field hospitals located at, those venues are actually being able to be used right now. So if something happens that we do have to resurrect something like a field hospital, then we will find that place at that point in time, and we have everything we need to do it.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Let's pray we don't get there.
I agree.
Well, thank you. I see there's no more hands up, but I just want to pass on our appreciation for taking the time to come to council, and that we trust that you take our concerns seriously, and we certainly thank you for your time, and we'll welcome you back next time.
That sounds great, and I just want to thank you guys for having me again here tonight. I don't get the chance to talk to all of council all the time, but I do have a very open door with Mayor Ludwig and City Manager Ward. So whenever issues arise on either side, we both know we can contact each other. So know that if you have something come up and you let them know, they definitely get a hold of me, and we deal with them as it comes along. So, yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Can I get a motion for the acceptance of the agenda? Motion, Councillor Vroba, seconded Councillor Walizer. All in favor? Carried. I'm going to get a motion to the acceptance of the minutes from the September 7th, 2021. Can I get a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from September 7th, 2021? Councillor Frank, seconded Councillor Cernick. All those in favor? Thank you.
You can leave it on.
Okay. Okay. So we have an original communication delegation petition. So we have President of the University of Regina, Dr. Jeff Keshen, is going to join us tonight on Zoom. I would like to welcome you. And I guess we're ready for your presentation.
I'm going to meet all of you next week. Thanks so much for making a few minutes. I'm not going to keep you too long, and it's really looking forward to coming out to Estevan. Would it be okay, since I'm going to meet all of you and meet some leaders in the community, that we could, so maybe I'll just tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll just briefly say what my hopes are for moving the university outside, more so outside the boundaries of Regina, something that I did at other institutions to really connect with and show the value of the institution and responding to community needs and to raising, I guess, the profile, and also dealing with and reassuring parents and students who are coming from communities about what we offer and the care that we have for young people and others as well. But anyhow, I'm a historian by academic training, and I was from Toronto originally, but spent most of my time in Ottawa. That's where I was working as a historian and history professor at the University of Ottawa. And then lived in next door in Alberta for 6 years in Calgary when I was Dean of Arts at Royal University. I think some of you might be familiar with MRU. And after Mount Royal, I had the privilege of see that we're starting to get returns from the election out in Newfoundland. So I was, before I came in here, I was looking at the riding that I was in before, which was Long Range Mountains. It's on the west coast of Newfoundland, the area of Corner Brook, which was a paper mill town back in the day. It extends all the way up to the Northern Peninsula. Grenfell campus was a separate campus in Memorial University, about 750 kilometers from St. John's. One of the things that I did up in Grenfell was to extend that campus into all the various communities and making connections with parents and students. I used to speak in the career classes and creating partnerships with, really showing people in those communities that we were trying to respond to their needs. And I took a lot of projects all the way up from St. Anthony and where the Vikings landed up in the northern peninsula down in Port of Basque. And take the ferry from North Sydney in Nova Scotia. You would land at Port of Basque in the southern southwest part of Newfoundland. But would it be okay, Your Worship, there? We just did a quick tour of the town, and then I could just maybe speak for a few minutes of what I'm hoping to do, and I'm there, have the privilege of visiting Estevan next week. Would that be okay with you, sir?
I'm sorry, it kind of cut out there. What would you like?
Would it be okay with just a quick tour of the table so I can know what we have the privilege of meeting when I'm in visiting next week?
For sure. Sorry about that. I should have done that. I'm the deputy mayor tonight. I'm Lindsay Clark, and I'll just introduce beside me is the city administrator Jeff Ward and the city clerk.
Hi, Jeff.
And Judy Pugh. And then I'll let
Jamie.
No, that was Judy. And now I'll pass it on to the councillors.
Hi, welcome. I'm Councillor Shelley Veroba.
Shelley, good to meet you.
Councillor Kirsten Walliser.
Person, I couldn't hear. My apologies.
That's correct, Kirsten.
Kirsten, nice to meet you, Kirsten.
City Treasurer Trudy Firth.
Hi, Trudy. Good to meet you.
Councillor Rebecca Ford. I'm an actually U Ottawa alumni, so hi.
Very nice. Who's your subject area?
Political studies.
Oh, cool. So you must be watching the election with some interest tonight, or are you tuning in on... So I think that right now, Atlantic Canada is probably splitting the way we kind of expected it to. Though I do notice, by the way, that my old riding of Long Range Mountains right now, to take a look at it, between 2019 and 2021, the vote is far closer than what it was in 2019. Goody Hutchings, who I knew out there, as I last saw, was at 44.1%. And last time she won it by about 60%. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Hello, Councillor Tony Cernick.
Hi, Tony. Good to meet you. I'm Jeff.
And Councillor Travis Frank.
Very nice to meet you as well. So when I visit next week, I think I have the privilege of also meeting with some business leaders, and I'm also visiting the school, I believe. How many high schools do we have in Estevan?
We have just the one.
One, so I have
Right.
Yeah, it's a good Corner Brook. We had Corner Brook Regional High, so I'm going to be visiting the high school, and I think I'm going to be visiting with all of you as well. What I'm hoping to do with the university at the University of Regina is to get a greater presence in communities outside of Regina, to interact with, to understand how we can respond to some of the needs in the community, whether that be through getting your advice on how we perhaps do a better job of offering options in the community, whether it's by operating with some of the local educational facilities there, or through online learning, through micro-credentialing. And this will be the first of several conversations that I hope to have. And we can also, not just in person, but once we make that connection, continue through Zoom. Understand about how some of the research that we do can also respond to and provide answers to questions that you would find a benefit, whether it's in health, whether it's in energy, whether it's in sustainability, to learn more about the needs in the community. And also by visiting the schools is to connect with and make students aware of what we offer at the university, to make it a more welcoming place, to reassure parents that we have the interests of their children at heart, that we want young people to succeed, and to make the university a less frightening place, because it is, as I know from other places, it's always a transition for students to come from other areas and and feel at home within a university, especially one that's now more than 16,000 students. The other thing I want to discuss when I come into Estevan is that we have in universities, we always have signature events, things that are highlighted. I want to do something that's a little bit different. Rather than having a signature event that is in Regina, like one of the big halls or whatnot, and that's where perhaps we can finish off. But we'll be working with a private donor and university funds to have what I hope will be a University of Regina Day. And again, we can discuss what that would look like if you're open to the idea in communities in Saskatchewan. And I'm looking at probably about 7 to 8. You probably know the areas that I'm thinking of: Yorkton and Estevan and Swift Current and Prince Albert and so forth. And we bring some students out, talk about programs, bring some student athletes out, perhaps put on some clinics. Talk to as well, leaders in the community about some of the things that we're doing and perhaps could do better and respond to needs, and then finish that off with a high-profile event that your local, whatever venue would be appropriate, where we would bring one of our researchers out who's working on a topic that might be of real interest to your community or to people in the community, and then maybe also connect virtually to a Q&A session with maybe someone who might be an international leader in that domain. Really just to make the university and the vibrancy of what we do come outside of Regina to all different communities, so we can play a bigger part regionally. So that's what they wanted to touch base on with you, is to say that I look forward to meeting all of you in person when I'm out there next week. So I think that's next week that I'm visiting. And to make you know that these are some of the things that I'd like to bring forward to see whether or not that we can have, and hopefully we can have a more meaningful relationship with all the different constituencies that are interested in the university in your community. People are interested in the things that we do, people who might be studying there, parents who want to know about the university. And also the other thing is that working with the school, if they're open to the idea, and talking to the principal at the kind of meeting with, to see whether or not it'd be interested in organizing, I used to do this out in Newfoundland, to bring students in from your community to visit with the University of Regina for a day to attend lectures, to see what the place is all about. That's what I want to touch base with you on.
Councillor Verova.
Thank you for that introduction, Dr. Jeff Kishin. I'm just saying, you say next week, but I have October 18th written down on my calendar, so I just wanted to confirm, when are we meeting with him?
Let me just take a look, see. Is it October 18th that you have?
Yeah, I have October 18th at 4:15, so I just thought if you're coming next week, I don't have you on my calendar.
That could be an issue. You have to see where I am next week then.
You might be going to Esterhazy, not Estevan.
Got my community next week, the 18th.
There we go. Perfect. We'll be here on the 18th. Okay.
That's okay. You know what? This is what happens when you have, when I'm going to about 8 different communities, but that's cool. Thank you so much. But you know what? Looking forward to coming on, so you know what I'll be coming for.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Sorry for that.
Councillor Frank.
And I'm not, believe me, I'm the farthest thing. Is anybody a fan of The Simpsons? It's when I think one of them went on tour and they said, that I'm in, and they got the name of Springfield wrong. So please don't read that. I got this stuff. So, but I actually do know some of the history of Estevan as well as this story.
Councillor Frank.
Thanks so much, and very much looking forward to chatting with you and finding ways that I think lots of great opportunities for students from our area to come to the University of Regina and to encourage that. I think one thing, and I won't so much put it as a question, but maybe something to give you some consideration before you come down, would be ways that we can also work with you to see that our students go there, but then also choose to come back. Because as a small community, as I'm sure you're aware, every community runs into this where our students move away to university, which is something we want them to do, but then don't necessarily come back to our community. And so that's something we definitely would love to work with you on, to figure out how we can make sure that that bridge goes both ways, and we can bring back educated citizens back to our community which is a win-win for everybody, so.
So are you experiencing, just curious though, because one of the real educations for me was actually working out in Newfoundland. Depopulation in outlying communities is an issue. Young people are not staying. They for a number of reasons. Sometimes they'll come back because they miss their communities. But it is a major problem. Now, one of the things that we could possibly look at is that rather than thinking that we can't do something, micro-credentialing does provide us with a great opportunity to, in a more compressed and also different, like hybrid format or online, we can devise programs that really do meet the particular labor needs in your community as well. Now, it wouldn't be for everybody, but we could provide programs that respond to particular areas that you think would be job opportunities for people in Estevan. So that is something that we can definitely talk about. And I think also some of the research projects that I know that our VPR is talking about that she's interested in pursuing in your community as well.
Yeah, that all sounds
Thank you
fantastic.
very much for that. But my question for you is depopulation an issue? And people perceiving, young people perceiving, lack of opportunity?
And I don't know that we have the proper statistics on it, but it's certainly something we'd want to look into. But I think just as a general knowledge, I think most people, particularly in this room who are younger, would all agree that we definitely see a lot of people our age moving away. Maybe when they get into their 30s or so, they might move back to be closer to family, things like that. But it's always an issue. And then the flip side of it is we also see people who choose not to go to university, even though they might have the means or the desire to, because they want to stay near their family. So to kind of those are definitely challenges I think that we would see as a small community, an outlying community, and something we'd love to work with you on. So
actually, the other interesting thing we could explore with that is, again, the experience that I've had in places that it's very sometimes quite difficult for people to be able to afford to go to university because they have to move home, away from home, is that the online world not only provides the option of perhaps doing a full degree, but it can provide the best of both worlds. So Grenfell campus started off as a 2-year feeder into St. John's campus, which was a way of saving money that you get the first 2 years of your degree in your home community, and then you have a university experience, but at half the cost because you're moving away. I'm just saying that there is a new world out there for us that provides those opportunities to pursue those options. And it need not be, again, we should not be defeatist about this because the online world provides us with the opportunity to simply put a camera in the classroom, as we're doing right now. You can be physically located on the campus, but also connect to communities across the province. So we have real potential to do some of this stuff, and if we pick up a couple of areas, I think we could actually implement some action. So COVID has been awful for obvious reasons, but so I myself am a military historian, so I studied Canada in the 2 world wars, and we know that what happens in times of crisis is it pushes things along far quicker because people have no choice but to respond to circumstances. And I guess the one silver lining, if there is one, to COVID is it really did show us the possibilities of the online world. Thank you for that.
Well, certainly on behalf of Mayor Ludwig and Council here, we're looking forward to you coming and seeing what opportunities. We're looking for partners, and just as you're looking for partners, and I'm sure we'll do our best to find them. I do know in the 80s, I think he may still be at university, is started the CO2 process out at the Boundary Dam here with some of the first stuff in the 1980s, and it actually became carbon capture. So it's kind of interesting that once you have the education, where you can go. So really looking forward to you coming to town. Yeah, I agree. And thank you so much, everybody, for making the time for me. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you in October and visiting your community. Thank you again, and I wish you all a great evening. Thank you. Take care.
Is there anybody else joining Zoom? No, I'll shut this off.
So, we have a communication from the Light Up for NDEAM, October 21st, 2021. Judy, do I need to read that? It's a one-night-only coordinated lighting event in recognition of National Disability Employment Awareness Month and Disability Employment Awareness Month in Saskatchewan. Let's recognize how people experiencing disability contribute to business and their communities, helping companies be successful and competitive. Light It Up for NDEAM is an initiative of the Ontario Disability Employment Network, the Canadian Association for Supported Employment and Mentorability Canada. Now in its second year, Light It Up for NDEAM is going national. SARC is committed to participating, and we need you to help to light up the Saskatchewan sky. See the growing list of governments, businesses, and community-based organizations who have already committed to Light It Up for NDEAM. And SARC is asking you to join us in making Saskatchewan the brightest province in Canada on October 21st. The Light Up campaign is our province's opportunity to demonstrate the rest of the country that this is not only the best place to live for people experiencing disability, it's also the brightest. Be participating in the Light Up for NDEAM initiative. You are showing your community that you support an inclusive workforce. So I guess they're asking to put up purple lights. What's your wish? Councillor Vroba.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think that this is a great initiative. I think that we should support it. I don't know if maybe we just need to give this back to the city manager so he can give it back to the guys and the crews to see how, if we could even at this time period get the purple lights, get them put up. I know with our water tower, with the concept of having lights put on that would be a great time where we could light up purple for this every year. Even if we couldn't do it this year, if we could encourage everybody in the city of Estevan to light up with purple lights for October 21st, then we might be able to create the light of purple throughout the whole entire city. But I do think it would be possible for us to at least light up some spots of our government buildings with purple.
So, seeing no other hands, are you? Oh.
Well, I thought Councillor Cernick had
I'm sorry, Mr. Councillor Cernick.
Sorry, thank you. Do we have any idea when the water tower expects the lights?
To Councillor Cernick, that would be in the spring after it's painted, so that wouldn't be available. I'm not sure if we have any lights that are easily changeable currently, but if we do have some spotlights on those facilities, I will talk to that department to see if we can get some purple lights put in for that week.
Councillor Vroba.
And I know there are quite a few houses in Estevan that have those nice LED lights that are outside of their homes, and I'm sure a lot of them have the capabilities to turn purple. So at least if we did a bit of an education to people to let them know that October 21st is the day to support people with disabilities in the workforce, then I think a lot of people would support it. So I definitely think that we should make a motion to support them in any way that the city is able to this year and years moving forward, that the minimum that we do the water tower at least light up with purple lights on October 21st.
So a motion from Councillor Vroba. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cernick? Do we need to read it back or anything, or are we good? All those in favor? Carried. So we have a request for a donation from Every Child Matters event, September 30th, 2021. And it is, I'm asking for partnership in an event for Every Child Matters on September 30th. We're going to be doing a lunch of hamburger soup and bannock at the Souris Valley Museum and coordinating with Southeast Advocates. We're asking for a donation of $500 for the supplies, hopefully for a few hundred people in attendance. We are asking for your help again because when we had the vigil of lost souls found at the residential schools, you supported us, in which we were very grateful. We would appreciate your help. and understanding for a noble cause. We're proud to be recognized on September 30th. We have come a long way over time. We want to be able to help our community in the future as one people. Thank you for your time. Yours truly, President Linda Sop, Métis Nation, Saskatchewan, Estevan Local 25. Councillor Ford.
Thanks so much, Deputy Mayor. I've been working with Métis Nation and Linda Sop and also the Southeast Newcomer Service on this a little bit. They've been speaking to me back and forth kind of as a liaison of the city. Mark at the museum has agreed to do a presentation on that day after lunch or kind of during lunch around noon or so, and it sounds like it's going to be a really good presentation. It's going to be an Indigenous culture presentation, so it'll be a very good educational piece for everybody in the community if they choose to come out. I know it is a work day. A lot of workplaces have allowed their staff to have that day off. So, I mean, it'd be easy to come for a quick lunch and to see that presentation and, you know, get to know the people who are running Métis Nation in Estevan and everything else, because there's some very valuable people in this community, and I think it's really important that we create that relationship with them and continue that partnership. So I would like to make the motion that we support this to further our relationship with Métis Nation and the Indigenous people of our area and Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Councillor Ford. We have a motion to support this. Do we have a seconder? What's that? Oh, for the $500? For the $500. Seconder, Councillor Leaser. Chibicha. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Carried. So can I get a motion for acceptance of the minutes of Creighton Lodge? Councillor Cernick, seconder. Councillor Waleser. All those in favor? Carried. Can we get a let's see. So I have building reports here, but, oh, there it is down here. Okay, I got it. Can I get a motion for the August 2021 building permit report? Councillor Vroba, Councillor Cernick. All those in favor?
You missed a report.
What's that?
You missed a report.
I know, but it was written this way on here, though.
Okay.
Is that right?
No.
Which one did I miss?
You gotta do 801 First Street.
Oh, okay.
Road closure.
All right.
Report for acceptance.
So we need looking for a motion on the lane closure for 801 First Street. Do you want me to read that? Okay, the new owner of 801 First Street would like to acquire some additional land from the city to allow for a larger home and garage on the lot. The developer proposal in this case is unusual, so it is brought to council for consideration. As shown on the attached sketch, the landowner would like to purchase approximately 4 meters of property from the city road right-of-way and incorporate it into his lot. The landowner has already prepared architectural drawings for buildings on the property, and the drawing utilizes the additional land. The property and adjoining street does not have a sidewalk or curbing installed on the 8th Avenue at that location and is not hard surfaced. The landowner is offering to install curb and gutter to city standards on the entire frontage in trade for the additional land. Further to that, the landowner would like to install a sidewalk on First Street on this frontage at his own expense. First Street currently has sidewalk only on the north side of the street on that block. Finally, if council is in favor of this proposal, the developer would appreciate an expedited process so that we can start construction this fall if possible. And we have Land Development Services and City Engineering supports this proposal and recommends that council proceed with this attached road closure. So, Councillor Verhoeven?
Yeah, I think it's actually a very good proposal for the city especially, that they will do the curbing to city standards, and also the fact that they're going to put a sidewalk in on their property will save the city down the road if we ever so decided to put a sidewalk on that side of the street. Currently, there is no sidewalk on that side of the street, right? So that's the only thing, is that just so people are aware, sometimes in the city, people will do this where they put a sidewalk in the front of their house on their proper, on the city property. And this is just so that down the road, the city won't be digging up their yard. It doesn't mean that the city's going to put a sidewalk on that side of the street. So just so it's clarified on that, but I would definitely recommend that we proceed with this offer and acceptance and approval.
We have a motion by Councillor Verhoeven. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ford? Any discussion? Councillor Frank?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to confirm, just when he talks about the road closure bylaw, the road closure would be temporary just for construction, correct? He's not actually purchasing the road land area?
To Councillor Frankie, yeah, correct. It's just an extension of the lot area that was municipal
Right.
reserve before. There will be actually no lane closure or road closure for access.
That's what I understood, and I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because I'm looking at the drawing. He's just purchasing a little bit closer to the road, so then, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. So then we'll go right into the bylaw authorizing the closure of the lane right away. So we have a, let's see. So the lane, there's a bylaw of the City of Estevan pursuant to Section 13 of the Cities Acts to authorize the closure and cancellation of the lane right away adjacent to Lot 11, Block 28. Is there a motion on that lane closure? We need to do, what's that? Councillor Leeser, seconder. Councillor Cernick. So this is just the first reading of this bylaw. All those in favor? So under public hearings and reports, now, this is put on by Kirsten, or by Councillor Leeser. Okay. Councillor Leeser.
Thank you. So the reason I asked to keep this on the agenda is just that we have a lot of news province-wide. So citizens have been seeing the changes announced in city-owned facilities from both the City of Regina as well as the City of Saskatoon. And at our last meeting, we had said that the city would continue to work on what we were going to do. And in the meantime, the province has stepped in and reinstated a mask order for public facilities. And I thought it was important to note that the leisure center is considered a public facility. And if city manager, you wouldn't mind just letting citizens know where they're expected to mask, if there are any exemptions.
Thank you, Councillor Leeser. So yes, Rod March and his staff over there are aware of the change of mandate. They have it printed out there for anybody who would like to discuss that with them. But we are expecting everyone in, it is a public facility, to be masked up when they enter that facility. There's exceptions, I believe, related to youth sports and some recreational sports. I can get Rod to talk to that as well, but they are fully aware of those mandates over there. So we'd like to ask citizens to respect those mandates. Those are provincial mandates. That is currently what we are following. following, and that staff has been instructed to follow those to the protocol that was published on the 17th.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that? Councillor Frank.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, I know this was something that we were going to be bringing up just as more and more pressure and questions were put towards us as to whether or not we would follow what Regina and Saskatoon did, and for it, against it, it's, you know, that put us pushed aside. I'm just grateful that the province made decisions based on recommendations they're able to get from health professionals, and one of the big reasons that it was very frustrating as a city having to look at this is we don't, our closest health professional is Councillor Walliser, who, while we appreciate it, I don't think she wants to be liable for everybody's health in the whole city. Not really what she's paid to do, so I think this does definitely fall into the province's jurisdiction. They have the resources to look into this. They are also responsible for public health, so quite grateful that they're taking the initiative so that we don't have to step in, which is appreciated. So.
Councillor Verova.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The other thing is too, is when you're using the city-owned facilities, it would be nice if people didn't approach other people. If you see somebody without a mask on, feel free to approach a staff or someone in charge to let them know that there might be an issue, because just keep in mind, people aren't always aware that someone is exempt, and I don't think somebody using the walking path or somebody using a city-owned facility that you see without a mask on should have to report to each and every person using that facility. I think you need to trust that the city has that in place. The city will monitor who's using the facility and when, and I just think if we're all kind to each other and give each other just a little bit of leeway right now as we navigate these waters. It's going to be new to everybody, and we're going to try and do our best for everybody, and I think that's all we can ask. So if everyone just lowers their tempers a bit, be kind, and hopefully we'll all get out of this okay.
Councillor Walliser.
On that note, I do want to make it well known that there are vaccine clinics being offered in Estevan this week. I've had many phone calls about how difficult it is to find a vaccine in Estevan right now. The pharmacies are booking far into October, so if people are looking to get a second dose or they need a third dose to travel, Wednesday and Thursday of this week, September 22nd and 23rd, from 12 until 7, at Estevan Public Health. That is attached to the front of the hospital, open to anybody over the age of 12. It will be first come, first serve, and they are cautioning people that there's a limited supply. So that is your best access to a vaccine currently. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. So do I do anything on giving notice or any of these, or do we go straight to inquiries? Inquiries. Councillor Verova.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As a member of the Police Board and a member of Council, I would like to extend a welcome to our new Police Chief, Chief Rich Lowen. The swearing-in ceremony took place today at the Estevan Courthouse. We look forward to working with Chief Lowen, and I am confident that the citizens of Estevan will welcome Chief Lowen and his family to our city. So welcome, Rich, and we look forward to seeing the great things that will happen under your leadership. Also, a huge thank you to the people who are using the walking paths and cleaning them up as they go. It's amazing how quickly the garbage will blow in and around the pathways. I would say the majority of it is not coming from people using the pathways, but it's really nice to see people using the pathways with a little bag they're carrying. Some of them even have the stick that they're using to pick the garbage up. And it's not your job to pick garbage up, but it's a community pathway, so it is excellent to see a community taking care of the pathway. Also, quite a few people inquiring about when the garbage cans are coming, the porta potties. They would like to see doggy bags, and I think these are all great suggestions. However, the pathways are just being created. We're working our darndest to try and get 13 kilometers of pathway around the city of Estevan before the snow flies. There's a time limit as to when these pathways need to be created due to the funding sources that we receive from provincial and federal. So I know that all of those are great ideas, but just be patient with the workers out there. They're working hard to get the pathways created, and then next year we'll finesse everyone else's needs. So the other thing is, we are having a lot of people ask, when will a map be released? So that's to the city manager. Is it possible, or are we still waiting just because we're finessing? It's fine if that's what it is, but we just like to let people know.
Thank you, Councilor Broba. So as we're continuing to construct, we are finding soft spots or hard areas that the pathway is moving as we construct it. So to put a fully comprehensive interactive map at this point is a little premature. I did talk to Rod March this week, and he is planning to create that interactive map kind of like Regina does. So if you want to walk 7 kilometers or 4 kilometers, there's loops that'll be designed. I wouldn't expect that to be done this year because it will be fairly late into the fall that those are finished and constructed for sure. But that is a plan to happen, just not currently. I will continue to talk to Rod March to see if that's something that can happen before year end, but I wouldn't promise that at this point.
Perfect, thank you. And just the other question about the pathway was, I had a few people in my area ask, is it still going to be constructed in the valley behind like Buffalo Junction there, Jubilee Place?
Yes, that is still the expected plan, unless there is some reason when they get into doing the road-based work that it wouldn't happen, but it is still planned to be done.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roba. Councillor Waleser.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councillor Cernick.
Thank you. The inquiry had tonight was just currently there is no place in Estevan to discard used oil, filters, and jugs. So I was wondering if the city manager could touch on any options available.
Thank you, Councillor Cernick. So this has come up in the last few years. It was identified that the car dealerships will accept oil and those kind of peripherals associated with them. But further to that, we do get a request every year from GFL that does hazardous waste handling. With the COVID restrictions in the last 2 years, we've decided to postpone it. But going into budget for 2022, I can definitely bring that up. And that includes more than just the oil stuff there. That includes paint and light bulbs and everything. So I'll be bringing that proposal to budget, and we can decide to do that moving forward, but I think some of those are kind of accepted by the car dealerships currently.
Councillor Ford, do you have something?
With that, just actually, GFL, if you call, they come every 3 weeks from Saskatoon, or every 4 weeks, I think, and they do kind of make their routes if you kind of get put on their list as well.
Councillor Frank.
Nothing this evening, Your Worship. Just good job tonight running the meeting. You did a fantastic job. You know, you're no Roy Ludwig, but we'll take you any day. I don't know why I'm buttering up to him. He's not even here today. He shouldn't do that. I should save it for when he's here. So maybe you're better than Roy Ludwig. We'll say that tonight, but he can't know.
It wasn't a coup.
That's right. So great job tonight, and now we'll let the good people at home change to CTV News, because I'm sure they're all wanting to watch that. Politics, not ours.
City Manager.
Nothing to add tonight, Deputy Your Worship.
City Clerk.
Nothing, Your Worship.
City Treasurer. I guess. Oh, Councillor Vroba.
Well, just, I thought maybe Councillor Cernick would like to talk about the strippers representing or recognizing Frank John this weekend.
Yeah, you betcha. Thanks, Councilor Roba. Yeah, we honored Frankie John this past weekend. Obviously, he's an icon in the city of Estevan. I think he is 196 years old or something. So he's been around. So the article and stuff, so he's obviously, there's a bunch of them that started the strippers organization that have put on the largest tournament in Saskatchewan for recreation. So it was good to give him praise. And just when you hear some of the stories that he's been involved for 80 years within hockey in Estevan and stuff like that, it's pretty amazing. He's always full of positivity and good to go. And a couple, you know, you can't really mention him without mentioning Rick Rohatton and the strippers. So everything he does. And then also Steve Godfrey is kind of the new godfather coming up. So give him some praise as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess that's it. I guess we need a motion to move into closed. Councillor Frank, Councillor Waleser. Do we have to vote on it?
No, bang it.
Do I get to bang it again?
Stand adjourned.
We stand adjourned.
Very muscular.